What's going on, guys? Borales here, and I know lately the video game scene, especially around first-person shooters, has been quite negative. I wouldn't say negative in that people are just negative Nancy's. I would say it's negative as in these developers and publishers keep pushing out shady-ass, unfinished bullshit like Battlefield 2042 or Call of Duty Vanguard, and I think that people are just tired of it and they're starting to bite back. Now, one game that's flying completely under the radar right now is a game called World War III. So to give you a quick history about this game if you didn't know what it was, World War III released on Steam back in 2017, I believe. It was an early access, and it was just an absolute nightmare. It had server issues, it had, game-breaking bugs and crashes that just weren't fixed in time, and the game wasn't popular enough and didn't have enough momentum, along with the server issues and the bugs, to get a real good following, even a cult following. The game flopped almost immediately and was dead. So over the last few years, the Farm 51, who's the developer, was able to acquire a publisher, My Games, and they were able to get funding and the resources they needed in order to get this game back on track. So for the last few years, they've been putting in a lot of work on their end to get this game somewhat up to par with what you'd expect from something like, a AAA developer like EA DICE or Activision, etc., etc. So here we are. World War III just dropped exactly 1 week ago, November 25th, and this is kind of my early impressions of it. Now, for those of you who are up to date, you know that this game, again, launched with some pretty game-breaking and server issues again. I guess they didn't learn from the first time that they dropped this game, but I can say that it's definitely not as bad as it was back in 2017. And they've done a lot better job marketing the game. I think it was a kind of a mistake on their part to pull the trigger early and launch it into early access right after the launch of Battlefield 2042. I think what they did was they got a little too confident in their product because of the failure that was 2042 and all the negativity surrounding it. Then they decided to put it out a little bit early rather than wait till 2022 and drop, a somewhat more stable beta. So this game has had its launch woes. There was some, there's still currently, once in a while, some server problems where you can't even get into a game. The main menu fails to load. There's just a bunch of issues around that. But for the most part, it's been pretty good. Now, inside the game itself, I think it really scratches the Battlefield itch that we really wanted out of 2042, that 2042 wasn't able to deliver on. And it really shows you, and it really puts into perspective how many missing basic-ass features there are in 2042, because World War III has those features. They have the basic classes. You got your engineers, your assaults, just like in Battlefield. The way that they do their squad-based, class-based system is almost identical to Battlefield, but it actually works. There's a class that can drop med packs, there's a class that can drop ammo packs, you got your rocket launcher classes, and the way that they did those mechanics really encourages teamwork. You get rewarded nicely for dropping ammo and health for your teammates. And the way that it works is you actually have to go up to the ammo box or the medical kit box, and you actually have to press the E button or the F button or whatever you have the interact button mapped to in order to fill your ammo or your health. And there's a health limit, or like a usage limit on those packs that drop. So you're encouraged to consistently be dropping packs and help for your friends. And it really encourages the teamwork and the squad-based play. Now, the game itself, performance-wise, the first couple days it was a little shoddy. There was a lot of rubber banding, a lot of not only just frame drops, but just lag in general. But after a patch that they put out a few days later, earlier this week, the game's been running a lot more stable. I'm running it right now on an RTX 3080, and I'm running it at 1440p, and I average about 100 frames a second. It could still use some optimization work, but overall, it runs pretty solid. The graphics themselves, for a small team like Farm 51, are pretty impressive. I wouldn't say they're, next-gen mind-blowing. They're definitely not as shiny and sleek as, what 2042 has to offer with their engine, but it's definitely comparable to something like maybe an older Modern Warfare, but with a little bit more updated. Now, the gameplay itself is pretty cool. The game launched with Team Deathmatch and then a bigger Conquest type mode. There are vehicles in the game, but there are none that are flyable or pilotable. There are no choppers that you can pilot. There are no planes that you can pilot, but there are tanks, there are APCs, there are jeeps, and it's really fun blowing them up. You get that itch and that satisfaction for blowing up tanks that you really don't get from 2042, because in 2042 it takes about 5 to 6 rockets just to severely damage or blow up a tank. In this game, it takes just a few, and on top of that, as your team is working together and with more squad-based play in this game compared to 2042, all eyes are on the tanks when the tanks are out, and people don't waste any time blowing up the tanks. Now, would I say that this game is as good or better than something like Warzone or Battlefield 2042? I would say, look, the game is $15, and that's a very small ask from a game of this caliber and of this quality. I would say if you have $15 to burn, if you refunded 2042 and you're looking to scratch that Battlefield itch, if you don't have the previous games or just don't want to go back to the games, drop $15 on this game, show them your support so we can continue getting more content from the World War III developers of Farm 51, and we can maybe make the next Battlefield game from this game, because it's clear that EA and DICE have no fucking clue what they're doing with the Battlefield franchise, and it's time for someone else to take the reins. However, if you are on the fence, or maybe you just want to wait till it has more content, or wait till they iron out the bugs and for their official 1.0 release, the game will be going completely free to play after the March 2022 open beta period ends. So probably around maybe end of March, hopefully April, if we're lucky. Now, hopefully by then it gives them enough time to fix some of the bugs and the server issues, maybe beef up the audio a little bit. The guns kind of sound like you're shooting like a paintball gun or an airsoft gun. They don't sound like, they don't have that punch that something like Warzone's weapons do, or even Battlefield's weapons do. I still think they could do some work and some tweaking into the audio, especially the footstep sounds. The footstep sounds, it'll be a teammate who's above you, but it sounds like they're below you. There's still some work to be done, but overall, guys, World War III, I'm enjoying my time with this game. It scratches my itch. It makes me even more upset with EA and DICE for what they put out with Battlefield 2042, and I think it's absolutely worth $15 if you are willing to go along for the ride, provide them your feedback, help them out, and help make that game something special. But anyways, that's it for me, guys. In a world full of shitty video games and shady companies, again, I'm just here to educate and inform. So thank you guys for talking games with me, and have a nice night.